Hey there, everybody. Mark Horner, Beyond 90 Seconds. It's Thursday night here in the great Pacific Northwest of the United States of America. 7 p.m., 7:01 p.m. now, Pacific Standard Time, 10:01 Eastern Standard Time. And it's a weekly thing I'm setting out to do here now every Thursday night at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. This is number 2. And along the way, things will hopefully develop and evolve and get even more interesting. Today, it's going to be pretty straightforward. It's been busy, and I thought I'd just share about my projects that have been going on. Some of the subject matter might be the type of topics that are of interest to you, and you're more than welcome to ask me questions in the chat here on YouTube, or if you'd like to, you could also follow me on Zoom. I want to put the Zoom chat link, if you want to join on Zoom, in the chat box on YouTube. So let's do that right here. And there it goes. It's now in the live chat on YouTube. So what's the difference between Zoom and YouTube in terms of this stream? Well, I'm actually going directly to YouTube from Zoom Webinar. And if you want to join on Zoom, you'll have to click that link in the chat. You'll register. It's free. And you can chat there directly, or request to be a panelist. That's the Zoom term, panelist, rather than simply an attendee. And if I bring you on as a panelist, just consider yourself a live guest. We're on camera. We hear you, and we can talk about the topics at hand. So far, nothing going on in the YouTube chat, and it looks like Lavender Debs has just joined. She's in Montana, and she says it's now 8-ish Mountain Time. Just until recently, Debs lived here near me in Western Washington State, but she and her husband Ray made the big move to Montana in the wide open spaces. Real happy for you, Deb and Ray. I'm also using on the Zoom side, which, you know what, you are getting it on YouTube. Look at that. You're getting the AI captioning, so the artificial intelligence captioning. I'm seeing it show up in the YouTube feed. I've enabled that on Zoom, so it does appear that it definitely goes across to YouTube as well. So that's pretty cool. We'll see how accurate it is, or how clearly I speak or don't speak. So what has been keeping me busy and from sleeping? Not sleeping in a worried way, just I'm kind of an insomniac anyway. But first things first, today was busy with work. And the reason it was busy with work is because I had a presentation to do today. And I'm on an employee development team. I help produce training where I work. And the two people who normally do most of the talking and presenting, neither were available today. So I found out a day or two ago that I could do it if I wanted to step up, and I did, and enjoyed it very much. And it was a great opportunity for a couple of reasons, but the one that really excited me is I've been watching some pretty cool uses of Keynote recently. Keynote is the Apple version, but better in my opinion, and I think the opinion of many, of Microsoft's PowerPoint. So I honestly haven't done much with PowerPoint over the years. Lord knows I've had a lot of them in front of my face, and I can relate to the term death by PowerPoint. But I've seen some really innovative and purposeful, intentional, good things done with Keynote recently in presentations that I've watched. They're much more dynamic. And so what I did was I wanted to prepare a brief Keynote presentation, and I did, figured out how to do it. And there's a lot there, and I was in the shallow end of the pool, so to speak, but I did it. And it, couple of things. It turned out really well, I think. It was very well received. I didn't do things just to do things on slides. Something that Alex Lindsay said recently resonated with me. Alex has the Office Hours program on YouTube, and he often appears with Leo Laporte on Twit. And he says that he says no more than 20 words per slide. I didn't come close to that. Most of my slides had no words on them, which may sound bizarre, but it can be, you can use diagrams, you can use objects to help get your point across. So that's what I did. Now I work for a government agency, and there's no Mac or Apple ecosystem. It's all Microsoft, Windows. Surprise, surprise, here in the state of Washington. So Keynote does let you export in a variety of formats, including PowerPoint. So I exported my project, brought it in, exported it as a PowerPoint file, brought it into Work, and voila, there it was. And it worked great. So I'm really excited to learn more about Keynote, and I'll be taking some more online training with it. I mean, I've got LinkedIn Learning, but I also just watch YouTube videos. There are some great free instructional videos that are out there. Now, the other thing, so that was my headline today. But outside of that, in my hobby time away from work, it's been a fun time behind the camera lately. Much of this year, up until about a month ago, I was very busy with still an ongoing project, but there's a bit of a pause in it right now. That other project is development of a podcast that is going to be pitched. And I won't get into details of it, but it's in the true crime genre. Other than that, I'll just leave it right there. But because of that, I wasn't getting out with my camera very much. And if you know me, and if you've over the years, I'm usually out with my camera pretty regularly, both taking photos and doing live streaming. Live streaming of wildlife, maybe some breaking news, but oftentimes it's wildlife and sunsets, sunrises, things like that. So I've been back out the last few weeks, and because we're in that storm season, very much a storm season, where they get the late afternoon, early evening storms here in this region of the Puget Sound, where we get what's called the Puget Sound Convergence Zone weather phenomenon. We get these wonderful storms that last anywhere from a few hours to just a few minutes on the short end. But there could be some really dramatic images. Heck, there were some beautiful photos and time lapses on social media last night and today. There's a photographer, everybody knows her by the name Sigma, and she got a phenomenal image of clouds over the city of Seattle. Tim Durkin's another one. I'd say he and Sigma are the two most well-known for social media weather quality images that really typically have a lot of drama and a lot of punch, and they're really dedicated to being out there all the time. So that's what I've been doing. I've been out there with my camera doing a bit of live streaming, but mainly taking stills and doing time lapses. Let me see if I can. Thought I'd show you the time lapse app. So I've got one of my old phones here, an iPhone 7 Plus, and we can use NDI to bring that in, I believe. Let's see if we can do that. It's going to take me a couple of clicks here. I need to restart it on my phone. So I'm using Newtek's NDI HX Capture app. So we're going to start broadcasting my screen from the phone. See the red up there? That means that we're broadcasting it. And I've got on this computer that we're doing this live stream with, that you're watching. Okay, here we go. Okay, so now we're going to capture the monitor in Zoom. Isn't it funny how this all can play together? Fun, I should say. Okay, so let's share screen, and we'll choose the NDI monitor on this PC. Here we go. Okay, so that's what the NDI HX Capture looks like. So we're broadcasting my screen. So if I just leave this app for a moment, we're still broadcasting. You can see now that we're on the screen. I believe you should be able to. Is that not working? Looks like it's going to go there. Ah, great. Okay, so from my home screen here, I'm just going to go ahead. I was going to type in Lapse It. You can see it's already there, though. Let me just there it is, Lapse It. So there's a paid version of this app. And this is where you can see some of my past projects on this phone. This is a clip that I shot 2 days ago. And so you can tell this a variety of things in terms of settings. The resolution, you can go up to full sensor 4K. At least you can on the iPhone 12 Pro Max. I'm not sure on this one, the 7 Plus, I don't recall. And then you can choose how often you want it to take a photo. Recently, I've been doing every 3 seconds to take a photo. And when it's done, you can choose how long you want that export or the length of the video to be. So you have to kind of do a little computing in your head. I always go for at least 24 frames per second, so usually between 24 and 30. So if I play this little clip here, which I did not use the other day, and I'll tell you why I didn't use it. It's because there's some runners that went by. Well, they actually weren't runners. They were lacrosse players warming up. And I didn't want that to be in the video. I know it can be interesting, but just thought it'd be good to leave people out. So, yeah. And then you can export, and it exports, and you can save it to your camera roll, and voila. What I typically do then is I'll bring it into Lumafusion. So I'm going to go to another NDI source. You're looking at the iPad, or excuse me, the iPhone 7 Plus. By the way, the camera that I'm using for this live stream, when you see me on camera and tonight, is my iPhone 12 Pro Max. I'm using it as a webcam with the Vmix Pro app. So let's switch our NDI source. Let's make sure. I'm going to broadcast on my iPad now. So we're going to switch from the iPhone to the iPad here momentarily. Okay, so now I'm in the iPad. Down at the bottom here, I've got my Lumafusion app next to the left of the F for Facebook. So here's Lumafusion. This is where I've been doing a lot of my editing. I'll bring the time-lapse video that I exported from the Lapse app on one of my phones. Lately, I've been shooting with the iPhone 12 Pro Max. And I'll bring them into here, and I'll bring that video, and I'll get bring in some music. So this is a video, and I'll just play it right in Lumafusion. This is a video that I uploaded last night on YouTube. It was shot last night as we went towards sunset. And I'm just going to scrub forward, and you'll see how fast this goes by, and it gets dark. And other recent projects are right here. And what I can also show you is a couple of days ago, I had a real fun one. This one right here. So this is what I'm just going to show you here. It's called Moody Storm Time Lapse and Photos, Washington State, May 18th, 2021. So this was just a couple of days ago. Hey, Paige, nice to see you here. And as soon as I walked out the door to go shoot, in the area, there was just this steam, if you will, rising from the pavement as the rain was coming down lightly. And this was really kind of like the precursor of the storm that I was going to soon be much closer to, only about half a mile away. So we're going to start off with these kind of like delicate moments, and then we're going to be at the nearby high school, and we're going to see all this energy in the air that is part of this whole precipitation event, if you will, not to sound too meteorologist-like. So let's just go ahead and make this full screen. I'll play a little bit of it. So simple things we often overlook that can be really interesting visually. And then you can really help sculpt a feel with music. Now, here I'm using the Lapse app on the iPhone 12 Pro Max. And I haven't done a lot with that consistently, that app. but I've been using it off and on periodically here and there for 2 or 3 years. And so I started to really play for the settings, and right there you saw the exposure in the top of that cloud at the left go from really overexposed, really bright, to properly exposed. So I'll be better about that in the future. And while I'm shooting the time lapse with the phone, I have my Canon 7D with me, and if there's something compelling like these shots here, I love this moment. I was actually about to leave the high school, walking away with my gear, when I looked up and I saw that develop up on the ridge across the valley down below. So I said, I have to get that. And then I went over to Snohomish High School, thinking I might be able to get the sunshine at sunset coming right up underneath the clouds. So that's what I was shooting for here. And indeed, there is a moment where these clouds across the football field, which is actually being used for lacrosse during this video, where the colors do get pretty bright. And that would be this moment right here. And in a time lapse, and again, I think this was a photo every 3 seconds. It was for most of the lacrosse game, I'll tell you that. So the color event passes pretty quickly, but it lasted actually several minutes, and it was beautiful. So here are some stills, once again here, taken with the Canon 7D, that show you the same moment in time that the time-lapse video was taken. And there's Dan Marino. So let's get off Dan Marino. We'll pause that. All right, let's go back to Zoom, and I'll bring it back to the camera. Okay, so we're back to the camera. And again, the camera that I'm using is an iPhone 12 Pro Max for the webcam. In the past couple of weeks or so, I did some research on options for using a webcam. I think I've mentioned in recent live broadcasts how I was using my Canon 7D in here, as well as then taking it out to go to outdoor shoots, chase storms, chase weather. And I got kind of tired of disassembling the wires and battery pack and all that kind of stuff. So considered different options. Ultimately started focusing on phones because I have a couple of older ones. And then, I saw some apps, a couple of them. One was free. One is a paid app. And then there were some other options. The apps, in terms of service, were a concern. And then I remembered my old friend NDI. NDI, I say old friend, because back in 2017 is when I first started learning about NDI. And I was streaming using a piece of hardware called a TriCaster for my job. And TriCaster is made by a company called NewTek, and they invented NDI. And they've made it open source, though, so a lot of products use it to wirelessly bring in devices. Displays and cameras that are on the same local area network, the same internet, and you can bring them in as sources for your live streams. So at that time, I was doing a bit with NDI and telling my streaming friends about it pretty passionately. But I've been away from using the TriCaster for a couple of years now, and haven't done a whole lot of live streaming indoors. So I know some people use it with OBS and with other Wirecast and their other streaming apps. So it's pretty cool to be able to bring in other devices like I just did with an iPhone and an iPad. Anyhow, that is what I've had going on recently. The big project today for work, taught myself how to do Keynote to some extent, just enough to do a successful project, and I'm looking forward to learning more about it. Didn't get a whole lot of sleep last night, so I'm a little tired. But I still am just buzzing about photography and live streaming. I don't know what the weather's doing right now, but if it's going to start doing any snap, crackle, or pop, haven't heard of that it's going to, but if it does, I might get out the door, because the good thing about this time of year is that we have more daylight, and we're going to keep getting more and more of it. for the next, the next month. So that means we'll still have some light, a little bit of light, even just past 10 o'clock at night. So that's going to be pretty awesome. So I tell you what, I will throw it open for any chat, comments, or questions you might have. And if we don't have any, that's fine. Don't want to hang on if there aren't any questions. And we can always come back. We will come back next week, and perhaps even have a guest or some folks who want to come on as panelists. So, and while I give a couple of minutes for that opportunity to enter a question in the chat here on YouTube, feel free, if you'd like, to suggest any topic ideas that you might have. You can do that in the chat as well. Let me check over on Zoom, make sure there's nobody with a question over there, because I'm looking at the YouTube feed right now. And looks like the chat is quiet over on the Zoom side as well. Okie doke. Well, perhaps between now and next week, I'll do some more testing with Vmix. Vmix is another bit of streaming software. It's paid, but it's not subscription based, which is good. And it's something that I am considering as an option. I've downloaded it, and I've got I think it's a 60-day free trial. So I can do some more testing with it. I know I'm going to love it. I've actually dabbled once or twice in it since I downloaded it, and I've watched people using it for a few years now, and it's very nice. Anyhow, that's what's been going on in my world. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope that if you have if you're doing any live streaming, that it's going well for you, and any photography as well. Feel free to hit me up if you have any questions in the questions, the comments beneath the video, because I guess we're not going to have any in the live chat tonight. But feel free to hit me up, and I'd be more than happy to respond. I will respond, and hopefully if I have an answer, you'll definitely get it. And if I don't, I'll let you know I don't know. It's that simple. All right. Have a good one, everybody, and thanks for watching. Take care.